Well, it is 12 noon, and it's time for another version of Lunch and Learn with Tony Woodard, who is the Chief Inspector for the state of Arkansas for the mechanical program, and myself, Tom Hunt, with the Arkansas HVACR Association. We're going to have a short program today, so that's great. On the other hand, there are some things in there that I think you're going to be really glad you tuned in to be able to hear. Tony, good afternoon, sir.
Well, hello, Tom. How are you?
It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. What about for you?
It is. It's a bright, shiny day. It's pretty.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we're going to be talking about some kind of miscellaneous stuff. There's not a theme except for the fact that these are some things that, as I travel around the state, I have people ask me questions. And obviously, if we're looking at the horse, I'm not the horse's mouth. I'm the other end. I always have to come back to Tony and say, Tony, help me out with this stuff. And a lot of times it shows up. One of the things before we get into it, I wanted to ask you about, Tony, is how is the continuing education thing going?
It's going good. I would say we're seeing a 50-50 split on online versus in person.
Really?
I have a lot more that I actually thought, to be honest, I thought it was going to be an 80-20. I thought there'd be more wanting to do online, but a lot of them want to do the in-person training and call and ask. We send that out a lot, that CEU provider list, which it's on our website. They can find it, but we send that out quite often.
And if you're having problems finding that on the state's website, you can go to the association website, which is ARHB as in Victor, ACR.org. And when you scroll down, you see in the middle of the page something on online from the association on the right. It is a link to be able to go to the state website and see all that list of people who have gotten approval for their classes for them to be able to qualify for continuing education. So it's going to be easy for you to find. My main thing, I had an interesting call, Tony. One person wanted to know, well, is there like a place they can go check to see if they have everything that they need?
No, what happens like this morning, so daily, we get an updated deal and it says, okay, these individuals like used our online program. And then it allows them to renew, and we don't have the submit button because we're not on ELP like the electrical as of yet. I keep being told January is still the start date, going to do it. And then there will be an upload button. So they can renew, and then I generate an email and send it out to them and tell them to just email us a copy of their COI, Certificate of Insurance, or CEU, Continuing Education Certificate. I've been shown the deal with the link that they have on the electrical side. It is working. There is an upload button that they can upload that. And then they would know what they could, when they check, they would know, all my status is up to date. I have all my records. As of right now on the HVAC side, no.
Do they have to mail that to you?
No, they can just, no. In fact, we don't ask that. We ask that they email it to michael.langley@arkansas.gov because it's so much easier. They just scan it, snap a picture with their phone, send it to us, and we upload it to their file.
I know for a lot of guys, they go out to take their classes and then they lose the certificate, for whatever reason. Oh, I never got it. Or, what happens is that maybe they didn't get it. Maybe they got it kind of grouped into a bunch of things that they were deleting at one time. Either way, they don't have it. So they call us and ask us for a replacement for their certificate. May be true for other folks as well. But one of the things we try to get across to people is that you have the responsibility for keeping up with your certificates so that you can mail them in. Until we get to ELP, you got to keep up with your own paperwork.
You do. It's like your wallet, your license in your wallet. You've got to keep up with it. This is a professional license, and these CEUs are just as critical as the license itself, because law passed that. It is mandated now, and I have several, and what me and the four guys out in the field do at the end of every month, we generate a list and we physically do boots on the ground, because I'm not about to take an individual's license from them that worked hard, and we will knock on doors and show our face to them and go, are you sure you want to give this up because you just don't want to do the CUs? And I've had two so far. That and let me, some have gone on that are well over 65 that go to a lifetime. I get that, but we've had two that in their mid-30s said, nope, I'm not going to do it. And At that point, when the day kicks in, we don't have it. We have to inactivate the license. We have no option by law. We have to, and then we're giving them multiple chances. I mean, I was at the Oklahoma line and I made a list and I hit the Queen and went up through the small and visited these people's homes. And we're going to do that. We're going to make sure myself or one of the inspectors will show up and double check. This is where we are. We need this, or it's going to be inactive. And I've been very fortunate to say that we only have had two. Some just misplace it, and we get that, but it is a critical document that you must maintain.
All right. Now then, Tony, here's a question that I get a lot of. Let me get to it here. Goodness alive, if I could make it stay there. And that is, what gauge metal is okay? I know if you go to the code book, I can't find anything in the code book that says 30 gauge metal on residential is okay. And yet, isn't that from 4 inches to 10 inches okay in Arkansas?
It is due to memo of the Board of Arkansas. So we adopted IMC 2021 in its entirety. The board still kept the memo active. We kept that. That is a single family dwelling, and that can't be stressed enough. That's not a duplex. That's not multifamily. That is single family dwelling can utilize 30 gauge from 4 to 10 inch. That's correct. In the round pipe.
Well, as I travel the state, that word has not gotten out. And so when I talk about this in our continuing education meetings, and they look at me like it's deer in the headlight and like I must be the dumbest guy that ever lived because that was done away with a long time ago. But
yeah, I was kind of hoping this would self-police itself on the distributor side. It kind of has on the 4 inch for the simple fact that the 4 inch dryer vent in the kitchen, that's got to be 28 gauge. And I don't think the distributors wanted the heartburn of pipe being brought back. So I think pretty much across the state, we are stocking 4 inch in the 28 and higher. There are we've seen several 12 inch 30 gauge pipes out there that don't even need to be stocked in the distributor. You can't use it anywhere. But we are still seeing that. And unfortunately, we have to get folks to remove that because it is a 4 to 10 inch only. And man, it would just be so much easier to just stock 28 gauge. And then you're covered. You're going to be covered. You're going to be done. I know that if you get with the distributors, you're going to buy that at the right quantity. You're going to pay the same price. But that memo still in place for the 4 to 10 inch but I can't stress enough, this is single family dwelling. You get in your little strip saw and you're changing out something at a Dollar General. That does not apply there. It does not.
This is a good word that if we could make sure that our distributors understood this, then they would act in their own best interest, which would be to, like you were just mentioned, not even stock any 12 inch in anything lighter gauge than a 28. So it would be beneficial to them. It takes a while for it to go from the talking stage to the implementation stage.
It does. It does. But
all right,
it's getting there.
Now, here's the thing, Tony, that I just kind of coined this myself. We're talking about chase versus space, because if you look in the code book, you can see that it seems to imply that you can just kind of pan a floor joist and that's okay. It tells you can't do it with supply, but it implies that you can do it with return. But that's not the case in Arkansas, is it?
No, sir. That return, you're still going to have to build that return out of approved material. Now, here we're going back to when you get into the commentary, and this is for residential, so we're talking single family dwelling again. Sure. When we do these return chases, and it is return only, not supply. And that is rated material. So that doesn't mean a raw stud is rated material. 1/2 inch sheetrock on the finished side is a rated material. Duct board is a rated material. Lined metal duct is a rated material. Duct that can be insulated on the outside, metal gauge duct, is a rated material. So that chase, and it's a good word. It gets confusing. Well, I just cut a grill in the sheetrock, I'm good to go. No, that's not the case. It's a design duct system, but it is for return only. You can use the building component, which is sheetrock. When they're saying that's type 5 construction, we're going to allow this building component to be utilized in the return chase way because it meets the flame and stroke. That's sheetrock. That's what they're saying.
Well, the reason this was an issue to me is that I just jumped off into the code, and I had several slides on this, and I called you, and it was like, whoa, boy, whoa, just a minute. Yeah. So I'm glad I had you to go to on it, and primarily we're looking at stuff that applies or that is, I started to say put on us, but it's something that's designed to help the consumer by the NFPA, isn't it?
It is. It's strictly breathing. So the NFPA, those 2 volumes, one tells you what the plenum's made of, which is B. A tells you what the breathing zone inside that plenum is, and whether individuals have paid attention when they're gluing duct liner on, they're spraying the glue, and they put that in. That's stamped right on there, NFPA 98, and it gives you that 2550 smoke development flame spread, so it doesn't phosgene off and hurt you. I mean, even if it catches on fire, it gives that time frame, that 15 minutes, that criteria they're always looking for to get somebody out of there. It's not going to create a component that's unbreathable. So, and that's a good point you brought up, because we see change out in old existing buildings where they just stud that puppy off and they left all that material raw in there. Yeah. And that does fall under the IC, but I do have a lot of contractors call me and go, well, I actually quoted sheetrocking that in. I said, well, good. That's a good thing to do that, to bring it to a better, you might not be able to rebuild the plenum itself, but you can make it tighter and make it a better breathing area in that return plenum.
Very interesting. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Okay. Here was a question that we had, and that is, if you got a mechanical room and you're pulling in like a free return, you don't have a ducted return on it. You know, code is pretty clear about you can't do that if it's a furnace in there. So one of the questions was, well, what about if it's a 90% furnace? Is it okay then?
Well, that's no, always okay. No, because when you have a mechanical area like that, there's other players involved with this. The air handler, that's one thing that goes, but then you have outside components to that gas appliance that they're not taking into consideration. The gas valve is one. The gas valve itself is one. When we go to commercial, a lot of the commercial or in certain areas, we have high pressure systems, not necessarily always ounce gas. So we'll have pressure regulators put at each appliance in that location. That can't be in the return. So it's a very rare you're going to find a fuel fired appliance mechanical plenum like that where it's not a ducted return. If you'll pay attention to them, you'll see a duct coming up and going to maybe that wall and then transferring out of that wall through a egress element that way. Very rarely will you find it wide open like that. And then there's another component that you forget about is floor drain. Floor drains are always in a mechanical room. And I want to, I'm glad this would come up so I can explain the difference in a trap guard and a wet primer. We have, like, sometimes when they build these storm drains, they build these mechanical rooms, they literally tie that into a gray water storm drain. You can get away with a trap guard on that. If it's tied to the sanitary sewer drain, then you have to put a wet primer. And the difference is, it is a device that's keeping that trap completely wet all the time. Little line of water going in there, and it keeps that thing constantly wet. That's the difference. It is a mechanical plumbing device that will keep it wet. The trap guard is a little cone thing. They can slide down in it and pull out. That is for your gray water or storm water, not sanitary sewer. And those things, that makes that plenum a big issue. How do we do that with that open air return in there? There's a limit, says it must be 10 feet away. And then we would get into the trap guard and other wet primer and then make that legal, even with an air handler. So these mechanical devices, if you'll pay close attention, a lot of the gas fired ones, they're ducted out to they're a ducted return.
Well, I know when I was researching the code, I couldn't find any exception for a 90+ furnace. And they were very clear, especially in the commentary, that it could only be a heat pump or air handler type situation. So I appreciate you straightening us out.
This is a more stringent test if you do the duct leakage test. Therefore, they would not require us as state inspectors, and then it goes from us down to the county, then down to the cities and municipalities. we do not require a visual inspection on a duct system if they provide us a pass leakage test. Now, that means the same hard cast tape that's made from mastic. Now, let me be clear about that. This is the good hard cast foil. This isn't the old cheap stuff. This is the good foil that when you squeegee it down, it seals to that duct, and you get a real good sealed system, and it'll pass the leak test. You got to do the gores and elbows. You got to do all joints and seams, your transverse seams, the plenum ends, the joints, the connections. You got to do it all. If it passes, we don't do a visual where you might go down in 3 locations. I need you to move some insulation and let us look at this gore and elbow right here. That eliminates that. I've had several cities start to adopt that. I know Conway's one that Cecil and them are saying, give us your duct leakage. We're not going to look visually. That's where the board, we didn't make it mandatory that you have the duct leakage, but this will help you. When you think about the cost difference in that mastic versus when you start doing a few of these, it washes itself. It really does. And then look at the labor. So I do know that full tape, it does squeegee down a lot easier than the mastic. So there's something to look at there. But it is the good full tape.
Well, I know that a lot of the guys have talked about using mastic in a real cold winter day, that it didn't stick good, and that they could buy a much more expensive version of mastic tape that would stick when it's cold. But, you know, that, I mean, if it works good and they get the right foil, that seems like a heck of a good compromise to help.
And I want to say this, if you're masticing and you're used to that, continue on. Don't change, you know, but this is an option, because some were telling me that it's mandatory. That it's not mandatory, it's just an option. If we ever adopt an energy code, it will be mandatory, because once we go to the latest energy code, that's it. We're still stuck on the old 9, and I honestly don't know where we are. I don't know if you do either, Tom, on that.
I won't go there.
Okay.
I can tell you what I told people in the field, and you can comment on this. When we look at that being using the foil tape instead of the mastic tape, I always close it by saying this: whatever you do, do not take Tom Hunt's word. You go to your local inspector and you make sure it's okay with him, because he may not be aware and their city may not like this. So remember yourself, this is a partnership. You they business with an equal partner unless you talk to them some. Well, that inspector is your partner. Make sure you're conferring with them.
Yeah, they can be more stringent. Most of them are working with us and abide by what the state goes by. Most of them. Okay.
This was kind of left over from last time.
Yeah, and those have been corrected. They have been moved out. You've got to give the human occupancy room to physically move out of that window and get in there. And there's that 3-foot rule in front of that disconnect anyway. But when you guys are back there welding them up and whatever, make sure when you squat down, you still got plenty of room. That egress window is there for a reason in our fire code. It is the only place you'll see mandatory is by the bedrooms, not in front of the living room or by the bedrooms. You've got to allow that room. And there were several of these, and they got moved out further away. And it states in the fire code, there must be level and enough landing room. They don't get specific with it, but it's 3 foot. You're going to have to maintain 3 foot. And what they need to measure, see how that soldier brick is sticking out? It needs to go 3 foot from that extra 4 inches, not that. You got to have the 36 inches clear from that. But I mean, let's just think about this a minute. If your family was in that and you wanted them, would you want them to be confined in getting out? Let's just use a little common sense. In a 3 foot area, you can get your legs out and you can be ambulatory. That's what they're wanting. They're wanting you to be ambulatory from that point on.
Well, hey, there's been some issues that are very important. And if you've got questions or compliments or complaints, be sure to contact the Department of Labor and Licensing HVACR program. The phone number is 501-682-9201. And Tony, one more time, if they're going to email in their certificate of education certificates, Who do they send it to again?
Michael.langley@arkansas.gov. So it's MICHEA period LANGLEY at Arkansas spelled all the way out .gov.
All right. Very good. Well, that concludes our November issue. Tony, thanks a bunch, my friend.
All righty. We'll see you next month.
All right. Monday, December the 11th, we'll be back online, and we hope that you'll join us again, too. Again, YouTube version of this will be available by tomorrow.
Thank you, Tom.
See you in a month. Thank you, Tony.